We all know that how we perceive ourselves has much to do with how we succeed in life. However, you may not know that the Torah also teaches this important lesson. This Shabbat, we continue our journey through the Torah as we read Parsha Shlach Lecha. At the beginning of our reading, the Israelites finally approached the Promised Land for the very first time. As was the custom of the time, God commands Moses to send spies to scout out the land they're about to invade. Moses sends 12 spies, one of them from each tribe, to the land of Israel. They spend 40 days there secretly investigating the entire country. Then they return to the tribes who are waiting back in the Sinai desert. The spies do describe Israel as a beautiful place that flows with milk and honey. Yet the spies, except for two of them, Joshua and Caleb, are very fearful of the inhabitants of the land. They describe them as giants who are very powerful. They're so fearful that they go on to say, "We look like grasshoppers to ourselves, and so we must have looked to them." As you might imagine, all the Israelites become very frightened. They become so scared that they even beg Moses to bring them back to Egypt to again become slaves. Even though God had destroyed the entire Egyptian army, helped them cross the Sea of Reeds by parting it, and now has them ready to take their ancient homeland, they're still afraid. They still perceive themselves to be weak and unworthy. They still lack the confidence in themselves to have the privilege of entering and taking the land of Israel. For this, God becomes very angry, deciding that this entire generation of Israelites would now wander the Sinai wilderness for another 40 years. Therefore, anyone currently over the age of 20 would not be allowed to ever enter the Promised Land. However, God makes an exception for two people. God declares that the spies, Joshua and Caleb, would eventually make it to Israel. God chooses these two because they're the only Israelites who had the courage in God and in themselves to know they could succeed in their invasion and conquest. They were the only two who had enough confidence to look upon a grave and difficult challenge with confidence and courage. What a lesson for us. All of us have challenges we must overcome in both our personal and professional lives. Yet can we remember, as the Torah teaches us this week, how we perceive ourselves has much to do with how we will succeed. If we see ourselves as winners, then most of the time we will get what we want and deserve. Shabbat Shalom.